They are not making a game and then putting a shop into the game. They are making a shop and then putting a game into the shop. That is a problem. So guys, I have this video here from Rax that is called A Message to the Diablo 4 Team from a Heartbroken Fan. And of course I want to watch this video because today was the launch of the Diablo 4 Season 9. And Rax, I jumped into his stream and he's not playing the game, he stick to PoE. And I have to think that he's explaining in here why he's not playing Diablo 4. And we know that things are not going well for Diablo 4. I am still hopeful that they are going to fix it with the expansion. But if they don't fix it with the expansion, honestly, I will lose hope at that point because that is their big moment, right? But I am jumping the gun in here. Let's see what Rax has to say about it, dude. Dude, over 60% of you are not subscribed. Why are you like this? Just click the sub button, dude. It is quick, it is easy, it is free. You get content, I get a sub win-win situation. Just click the sub button, dude.
Hi everyone, it's Rax. I woke up this morning and had every intention of playing Diablo 4 Season 9. I've never missed a Diablo 4 start before. And as I was sitting there ready to firing up, thinking about it, I realized that Diablo 4, it's no secret, has not been super fun to me lately. This season doesn't seem to change a whole lot. And I found myself actually being pretty sad. Pretty sad because, you know, I think if you took the entire landscape of anybody who plays Diablo, I'm someone who's pretty far up there as being one of its biggest fans, not just from the nostalgia, but I started my streaming career and content creation career off of covering the Diablo games. So it's not even just about the money or the views, or the clicks or anything like that. It used to be one of my very favorite franchises. And so I thought, another thing is when I do stream these games, and rightfully so, I'm not criticizing my audience for this, and also I play into it as well. It turns
I started playing D4 before playing PoE 2 or PoE 1. And if I have to thank D4 for something, it's for making me play the PoE 2 and PoE 1. And a lot of you guys, or the majority of you guys, are here because of PoE. So hey, it was a W in the end, right? So cool, dude.
Into a giant ball of negativity of everyone just cracking jokes about powers and we hear you, and you know, I get it. It's the reality. So it's honestly not even so much of a joke anymore. But
by the way, I don't think that powers are inherently bad. I just think powers can be cool, but they became a meme not because they are inherently bad, but because the implementation, how they do it, season to season, is the same. They don't change it. They don't make the variety. That they are still powers, but they are interesting season to season. They are the same thing. That is why the meme exists, and that is why they are boring. But it is not that powers are inherently bad, right? Did you see their latest QA that was embarrassing? Yes, I did. In fact, I think I talked about it in the other video that I have reacting to Rax talking about it.
I thought what I would do instead is I would make a very heart-to-heart video, not even for the fans or for the viewers, but this is a video that I would send to Blizzard, and I'm not gonna use any curse words. I'm not gonna drive the stake through their heart, but I am gonna be brutally honest about the things that I think are going wrong or have gone wrong with Diablo 4. And I saw this tweet from Adam Fletcher after the last campfire.
I also saw this tweet. So before listening to Rax giving his opinion, I will give my opinion without knowing what he's going to say. My opinion about this tweet is the naive part of me, the dude that is a little innocent, naive boy, believes it and gives me hope that they are indeed planning the big things that the game needs, at least for the expansion. What are these big things? In my opinion, the two biggest things that they need to do so Diablo 4 becomes a good game. Because let's be honest, guys, D4 has good graphics, good music, good atmosphere, and the game feels good to play. Moving your character around, it feels good. It is satisfying using your skills, and that is a big compliment for D4. But the two things they need to improve is the skill tree. The skill tree sucks. It is a skill twig. And the other thing is putting an end game into the game, and that is the hardest part, to be honest, because it is not just giving me a new a new activity. It's giving me a new activity, connecting it to the other activities, giving me a gameplay loop in the end game, something to look forward to, replayability, pinnacle content. Like, it is a robust system that it is not hard to pull off like that, right? So that is the naive part of me, that they are going to do all of that for the expansion. But my nihilistic dude, my realist dude, my pessimistic dude, like, you have two wolves inside of you. Yes, I have the naive wolf and the pessimistic wolf, right? That wolf tells me, why should I believe you now that you are doing something and that you have big plans if you've been saying this shit for 2 years and the game has not improved? We've been saying that the skill tree should be reworked since the game launch. We've been saying there is no end game since the game launch. Why the fuck should I believe you now? That is my concern. I want to believe you. I like Adam. I think he's really cool. And I want to believe I like the game. But how can we believe you now, dude, after 2 years, dude? And I don't think it is the fault of people like Adam. I have to think it comes from higher up. I don't know. Like, nobody knows why the game sucks, dude. Like, I don't think that they are incompetent or what. I don't know. I am not going to even speculate about it. But the game just needs these things. So that is my perspective. I am looking at it from two sides. I am hopeful, but at the same time, I feel like if I am too hopeful, I am going to get disappointed. That is my perspective about this tweet. Now let's hear what Rags says about it.
And it says, I haven't been present as much. I have a lot of items behind the scenes that he's managing, but within those are big plans. Just know that your war cries of wanting more change aren't going unnoticed. The team has been cooking on some of the biggest changes that really hit home on things that people have been asking for and more. We will share more as we get closer. Love you all. Okay. So a lot of people are immediately going to roll their eyes at this and say, cringe. This is what they always say. This is just, we hear you again. Blizzard has lost you forever.
That is exactly the perception the community gets, right? That, oh, yes, you are repeating this, but we have been saying this for a long time, and you always say this, and nothing happens. Yes, I also have that from one side, but for the other side, I do want to hope that things are going to improve, right?
Fine. I like Adam. I met him in Seattle. I like a lot of the people on the Diablo 4 team as people. I cannot identify for you what the exact problem is. People say it's not the developers, it's the people higher up, it's they don't have any talent anymore, it's their direction has changed a million times.
That is what I said. He also says, I can identify that. And it is because we don't know. The only people that know are the people that are inside, and they are not going to say it, right? So we don't know what is happening.
I've heard every theory under the sun 1,000 times. I'll be honest, I don't really care what the reason is. I just want it to be fixed. So we're going to go.
Hey, that is fucking based by Rax, by the way. That is based as fuck. Why is it not working? Me as a player, I don't give a fuck. I just want it to work. Just give me the product I want. Why is this happening? That is your problem as a company to fix. Our problem is, give me the game. That is true. Based, Rax. Based.
Go into Paint, and we're gonna dive into some of the core issues here, and I'm just gonna be brutally honest here. It's time to use Paint, and let's talk about Diablo 4. So in ARPGs, the thing that probably hooks me the most, and again, I'm just gonna talk to you from me. Like, I've spent a lot of time trying to speak for the people. You want to know who I can speak for with 100% certainty? Me. So I'm going to speak for me. And if you guys agree with it, awesome. Thumbs up it. If you don't agree with it, you can thumbs down me. You can post on forums and talk shit about me. Or you could, make a constructive comment and say what you don't like. But I'm going to speak for me here. So if I'm talking to Blizzard, the main reason why I keep playing these games is for dopamine. I want, whenever a super god rare item or rune drops on the ground, to feel like $1 million. It is.
Let me think about this. He wants dopamine, and he wants when something drops in the ground to feel like $1 million. That is he said this is the reason for me, for him, right? So it doesn't have to be for everybody. Although I don't think that is cool. That is not my reason to play these games. I play them what I like, for example, in PoE 2, and I am experiencing it right now in PoE 1, and it also happens in PoE 1, and I like it. I like the challenge of beating the pinnacle content. And the gameplay loop, or of you are weak and you map a little bit, you get currency, you trade for better gear, You beat a little bit of pinnacle, but for the next step you need more gear, so you farm and you get more gear, and then you clear another pinnacle, and you farm and you get gear, and you kill another pinnacle. That ladder of progression and killing better and stronger and harder content, that is what I like. And that is what I want to see in Diablo 4. In PoE 2, it is really good. In PoE 1, it is insane. I want to see that in Diablo 4. That is what hooks me. That is also why I like something like WoW. WoW has a little bit of that. You grind Mythic Plus. You get gear to go to raiding normal. You get then go again to Mythic Plus. You get to go to heroic. You go high getting Mythic Plus. And you are getting all this progression system. I want to see that in Diablo 4. That is what I like. It is cool getting a strong item or whatever, but you can also progress with currency and trading, right? At least in PoE 1 and 2. Let me see what you guys have been saying, because I missed a lot of comments and I am sorry, guys.
It's not an exaggeration to tell you, I never have this feeling in Diablo 4. Like, practically never. It just doesn't happen. So then I asked myself, what is supposed to be the dopamine in Diablo 4? Well, you could argue it's getting a mythic unique. But getting a mythic unique is very, very easy because you can craft.
By the way, I get that in PoE when I get a divine from the floor, a random divine from the floor.
One, whichever one you want yourself. And you can just do the boss ladder and they will drop. You'll get them. It's just brute force doing kind of a tedious task. I know you guys have iterated on this and tried to make it better. Like, I'm not ignoring that. But other than that, like, what is it? Finding a 3 or a 4 greater affix legendary, like, or an ancestral unique. Like, I get it. Like, from where Diablo started, you're trying to implement the dopamine. Like, it's been attempted to be put in there, but it doesn't.
Let's be honest, it is better. The system, the itemization right now, it is better than on launch. But it still sucks, dude.
Feel like that for me. That compared to dropping a bear rune or a jaw rune or an arachnid mesh or anything like that in Diablo 2 is not comparable at all in any way for me. The thing that I really need you to do is come up with a system where there are some god tier items that actually just, you're playing the game and you're not quite sure if it will drop, but man, if it does, it just completely transforms your experience. I actually think you had a better system on the launch of the game, just with a very bad implementation. The idea that these super rare mythic uniques exist. Now, granted, the mythic uniques have like this huge role.
I appreciate that Rax said at the start that this is his perspective. I don't agree with this point. I don't think that items that are unattainable should exist. And if they exist, they are few and not required. For example, in PoE 2 we have one. We have Temporalis. I don't care if Temporali exists. First of all, it is one item. It is really broken, and there is a path to obtain it. And this is a really important thing. There is a path to obtain it. You know that if you do the second mass and kill the last boss, you can get the pipe, the incense, the bullshit. And if you complete the incense, you will get Temporalis. There is a path to obtain the most broken item. It is hard, but there is a path to do it. When D4 launched, the mythic uniques, the uber uniques, how they were called at that point in time, did not exist. They were so rare that they didn't exist. Even if Rax says to me, no, but they can adjust the drop rate and make them so that you can potentially find them. If there is not a path to obtain them, it is like they didn't exist. They didn't exist. And I don't like that, dude. I don't like that there are items that you can't obtain. Even if they are hard as fuck to obtain, there should be a path to obtaining. And I don't know. To me, it feels weird, this Gamba mentality that, no, it can drop. I will kill this mob and it will drop. I will kill this mob and it will drop. No, I just want the progression. If the item is not required, I don't care. But right now, how D4 works, there are a lot of builds that depend on having a mythic unique. You can't take it away now. Now they are part of the game. You now can't take them away. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I need to explain myself better. But I don't like this ultra rarity of items that are impossible to find, basically. Also, maybe you can have them, but if you have a good trading system so that you can, and you can do this, for example, in PoE 1 and PoE 2, maybe you can't acquire Temporalis by yourself, but you can farm a lot of Divine Orbs and trade for a temporalis. In Diablo 4, the mythic uniques are bind on account. You can't trade for them. You could just make a trading system that could work. I don't know, but I don't like barring people away from content. That is what I don't like. I am okay with content being hard to get to, being rare, but attainable. That is the key word, attainable. Mythic uniques when Diablo 4 dropped were not attainable. And you know what we're saying? A divine is rare enough that you get excited when you get one, but not so rare that you are not going to find them. That is the sweet spot for me. Mythic uniques were too fucking rare. The idea is that you can get them, but not so much that they are trivial, like Chaos Orbs, but not so rare that you are not going to get it like a mirror, right? So divines hit the sweet spot.
Rolls on them like 50 to 100, and they were like 1 in a billion chance to drop. That like it can't be that I have to play 10,000 years. That was like actually a figure. You have to play 10,000 years to get one drop. Like
yeah, it was impossible, guys. By the way, it was impossible. Like people were playing for 1 month, 2 months, and there were just like 2 drops in the whole fucking world. It was insane.
It can't be that rare, but like if you're blasting for multiple seasons, maybe you find one kind of rare. Makes a lot more sense.
That is still too rare, Rax. That is still too rare. Like there should be a path that if you want to get it every season, you can. Even if it requires a fuck ton of blasting, but you should be able to get it. If you are only going to get it every once a year, it is still too rare. It is still too rare. Even more when Diablo 4 is a game catered towards casuals. And again, when I say casual, I am referring to people that don't have much time to play the game, not to idiots. Because apparently Blizzard thinks that casual equals idiot. No, that is not the case. Casuals are still smart people. They just don't have enough time to play the game because they have other shit to do in their lives. So let's fix that. Diablo 4 is catered towards casual, so they don't have time to last for all this time to get the item. Right? A pity system could work. A pity system could work, for sure.
I was initially going to do like this whole thing where, oh, I'll just play until I get one of these uber uniques just to see if I can get one. But then I did the math on it, and I'm actually never going to get one. So the dopamine is not there for me in the items at all. It's one of the main reasons why I play ARPGs. Let's talk about the characters in combination with the skill tree, in combination with the Paragon board, with theory crafting a build, and the crafting in the game. I guess let me start with the last part. Let's go with the crafting. When I actually started thinking about it, crafting has actually never really been a big part of the Diablo franchise. So I can't needle you too hard for this because the Diablo 2 succeeded without too much crafting. You just have the Heraldric Cube. It doesn't do that much. You put some runes in an order, and then it makes an item. This
is true, by the way. And getting to the core of it, that makes you understand that to have a good ARPG, you don't necessarily need a crafting system. It is good. It is cool to have it. It is fun, but it is not required. You can have a great ARPG without an in-depth crafting system. The thing is that the kings of ARPGs right now have crafting systems, and that is why people are incorporating that into the pillars of ARPGs. But originally, it wasn't like that. And what I mean by that is that PoE 1 has a great crafting system, too loaded, by the way, too complicated. You need a PhD. That is the weakness of it. And Last Epoch has an awesome crafting system too, right? So people are assuming that a good ARPG needs to have a good crafting system. And it doesn't. That being said, the crafting system in D4 sucks dick. I would prefer no crafting system than the bullshit we have in D4. Because you have to hit, and if you guys don't play D4, I am going to explain why it sucks. It is RNG based on hitting. When you craft something, I know that for gambling people in PoE 2, this is going to sound familiar. But when you craft something, you have to hit the affix that you want, right? But in PoE, you hit the affix and that's it. You hit it. In Diablo 4, you have to hit it 3 times in a row. And if you don't hit it, you have to start all over again. And hit it again. And if you fail at the 3rd time, you have to start all over again. It is like the amount of luck you have to have compounding the 3 attempts. It is stupid. That is in a thing that is called master working. It sucks dick. I would prefer no crafting system to that shit, by the way. And that is why I'm saying that originally you don't need a crafting system. It is like D4 thought We need to have a crafting system, and they deploy this bullshit. At this point, I prefer to not have the crafting system, dude. If you are going to have one, then improve it. Then improve it. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be last epoch levels. It doesn't have to be PoE 1 level, but not the bullshit you have. Basically, that is my opinion. But I do think you can have an awesome ARPG without a big crafting system. You can have something very basic if the other parts are cool. The problem with D4 is that the other parts suck dick too.
That's pretty basic here. But the crafting systems that we currently have, the tempering and the masterworking and the re-rolling a single stat, that doesn't feel very good to me compared to some of the other systems that we have in other ARPG twists. I'm going to try my best to not bring them into this discussion. I want to talk about Diablo 4 in a vacuum.
I will do it for you, Rax. I have already done it several times. I know that this message that Rax was cooking up in here was directed at Blizzard, and since he wants them to watch the video, he doesn't want to compare them to the other games. And I say, you know what, based Rax, you want to just talk face to face with Blizzard and explain to them what needs to be improved without throwing shade at them. Hey, dude, based Rax. But hey, I will do it for you in this reaction. I will do it for you in this reaction.
Here. But the other crafting systems that other games are making are actually taking it far beyond just these really basic and sometimes infuriating systems that we currently have. I think it really needs to change. I think this is one of those things where we've got to sit down and see what ideas the team has and try to implement a real crafting system into Diablo 4 that's fun and engaging to use. The characters.
Which, by the way, to have a fun and engaging system, it doesn't have to be complicated. I want to make that clear. You can have a basic, easy-to-learn system that is fun and engaging. In case, no, but they can do what Last Epoch has, or they can do what PoE has. Yes, but you can still do something simple that is cool.
With the skill tree, with the Paragon board, essentially lead to almost no theory crafting. The example that I love to give is you got a bunch of people. If you took me and Rob and Woody and Macro and Boiler and Snail and everybody else out, you took us all and you gave us some random class and some random archetype. You gave us a sorcerer with Fireball. You had us theory craft an endgame character. Think about the pieces there. Well, when you're buffing up Fireball, we already know you have choice A or choice B. And then in the Paragon board, you're locked to like 5 boards. So we just got to calculate, which of the 5 boards gives us the most damage is usually what you're going for. And then the key passive should be pretty obvious. Maybe there's 1 or 2 on which one that you pick. Like, you see where I'm going with this? And then there's like the Fireball staff. And there's like,
this is completely true, by the way. There is no deviation in the builds, dude. You go to PoE Ninja, and yes, I am bringing up PoE again. But you go to PoE Ninja and you look for the top 10 of the same build. And I guarantee they are all using different items. Yes, maybe there is one item that all of them are using. But you look at the other items and they are using different items. You see their skill tree and they have different skill trees. And they are using the same build, but they are not exactly the same. Everybody's doing something a little bit different. And in terms of builds, there are hundreds of builds. Viable builds, by the way. Not necessarily builds that exist, but builds that can clear the content. In D4, it is not like that at all. But it is not like I am not asking for PoE levels of complexity and deepness and variety. But it is also that you don't have any. Right? That is a problem. That is why when I say one of the things that you have to solve is precisely the skill tree.
The Fireball gloves. The idea here is if you gave us 1 hour each to theory craft this build, it would be nearly identical. That's because there aren't pieces there within your systems to actually theory craft something different. And I would consider this a major flaw of the game. Blizzard has like...
That is probably second to only not having an endgame. Like the number 1 problem in Diablo 4 is no endgame. And the second problem is this. I completely agree with Rax in this point, by the way. He's 100% on the money. I completely agree with this point.
Like explicitly said this or behind closed doors, that they want to make Diablo 4 very accessible, even for people that don't know ARPGs. So when you make this kind of straight linear path of how you build essentially like the correct version of the Fireball Sorcerer, you have killed a lot of the creativity, a lot of the things that a lot of the people love to do to make these crazy melee builds that are supposed to be caster builds, but the melee version actually works very well. I need you to build at least pieces of these systems that allow for creativity, that allow for expansion. that allow for.
This also applies not only to the skill tree, by the way. Also, the Paragon board is boring, too complicated in terms of like you are never going to try to get that Paragon board. You are just going to look it up in a website. The Paragon board also sucks. They have to rework the whole thing, the skill tree and the Paragon board.
Ideas here, because there aren't very many ideas that we can do with the pieces in Diablo 4. It makes the game stale. It makes the game repetitive. What's the difference between if you had played Fireball 4 seasons ago and if you play it now? Maybe you added one unique for that archetype, and that's it. This is the problem and why the game gets so stale.
Agree
For
completely.
the endgame, the problem with the endgame, someone said this on the last campfire chat and everyone started laughing. He said, I missed most of the campfire. What color is the Helltide this season?
That is true. They always like purple Helltide, red Helltide, green Helltide. And it is true. It is true. That is a good fucking joke, dude.
And it's funny, it's a good joke, but it's also kind of what happens. It's always just, hey, corruption has taken over this zone. There's spots of this zone with a circle with an event. It's always the same thing. What ideas do you guys have?
Hire me, Blizzard. I will solve all of this for you. Hire me, dude. I need a job, brother. I want to go to the US. Blizzard!
I would love to see you guys do very, very different things. And I think maybe you feel like your hand got caught in the cookie jar here because a lot of the things that you have tried, people have really not liked. The Gauntlet, people didn't really like that. The Abattoir of Zir, people didn't really like that. And I understand how, like...
The Gauntlet is the worst shit I have ever seen in an ARPG, by the way. The Gauntlet was boring. It sucked. I don't even know how it made it into the game. It is just a fucking bad idea. The Gauntlet was stupid. And if you don't know what the Gauntlet was in D4, hey, good for you, my man. You don't need to know. It was something stupid. This video so far has been great. Let's continue watching it. But hey, I think this video can have a great impact internally on Blizzard. Like if even Rax, that has been loyal to them for a long time, is skipping the season, that is a wake-up call, dude. That is a wake-up call.
After doing that a couple of times, you're like, let's just go with Sherbert, Orange Sherbert Helltide this time and we'll be fine. But we can't go that way. We need to see what you guys can actually come up with that is more than just corruption and a new kind of monster, and there's an event that gives you a resource that you spend at a vendor with 20 rank. I mean, it's always the same thing.
Yeah.
This ties directly into the seasons. This is probably the thing that's the most self-explanatory. Every season is powers. Powers, I would imagine, as a game developer, I don't develop games.
I said it earlier, I don't think powers are inherently bad, but the way they are implemented in PoE, in Diablo 4, is why they suck. Not because powers are bad per se, they can make cool systems surrounding powers. This is just borrowed power. But the way they do it sucks dick, and it is always the same. And it is boring at this point.
But I would imagine as a game developer has got to be like the easiest, quick, slap it into the game as a season thing that you could possibly do. Okay, well, let's give them this explosion, or, oh, we have all these bosses that do these attacks. We have all those attacks coded. Let's just put that attack into a gem, tune the numbers, and we have ourselves a season.
Exactly.
I don't know how big of a team you guys have. I don't know what the budget is. I don't know how the structure is, but I mean, you guys have... The internet has been roasting you pretty hard for powers, Austin Powers, you know, da-da-da-da-da.
Austin Powers.
The seasons they've got to be different. They've got to be different ideas. They've got to be different ways of playing the game to really hook people in. I would be absolutely shocked if any demographic out there, the casuals, the blasters, anything in between, is enticed to come in for another season of powers. You've got to do something different every single time, otherwise it gets stale. One very common complaint, which I think is extremely valid, is the content in the game versus paid updates. Like we're expecting in the expansion, and I get it, the Diablo 4 is a for-profit company, and I just saw this is no laughing matter here, but I just saw that Microsoft just posted that there's tons of layoffs coming, and even for the gaming department. I'm not sure if anyone on the Diablo 4 team will be affected, but it's never a joke when people are losing their jobs. So it sounds like, I mean, hearing that, hopefully it's unaffected, but it sounds like if anything, we're going to be losing people working on the game, and the bottom line for all these companies is it's always about money. But the level of trickle,
which is fine, by the way, and to me that is what is so surprising, because you would think that making a good game would bring a lot of money, but apparently they have accountant people that say internally, no, you don't bring more money making a good game, you bring more money doing other manipulation bullshit. FOMO and battle passes and bullshit instead of making a good game. I don't know. I still think maybe I am a naive. I am an idiot. I don't know how money works. But I still think that the way to get a lot of money is making a good product. I am still a sucker for that.
In content that we're getting in between the expansions is really not enough. And it's not even that. It's not even just the content that you're trickling in. It's also the content that people just expect to be in the game that isn't in the game. Diablo is not in the game. And I'm sure the plan is and when Mephisto came out in the expansion, it was like split into multiple arcs. So it could be sold as separate expansions. Like it was like you took this.
By the way, I know that people have made this a meme. Like there is no Diablo in the Diablo game. To me, that is not much of a meme because they are building up to it. Like the game is called Diablo, but let's be honest, it is about, I see it more about the universe, like the sanctuary and the war between heaven and hell universe. At this point, it is not more necessarily about Diablo, but yes, the game is still called Diablo. So I don't bash them as hard because Diablo is not there. And it is definitely not the reason why the game sucks. Like, instead of having Lilith, you can have Diablo right now and the game would still suck because all the other shit sucks. It will still be a meme. So I would prefer for you to fix the gameplay and then worry about that shit.
Story of like the primevals, and you divided it up in as many slices as you possibly could, and now you're going to spoon feed it into to us over the expansions. We don't have the cow level. We don't have leaderboards or the ladder. Didn't you guys invent the ladder? I mean, I don't know my history here, but in ARPGs, didn't you invent the race to 99 on Battle?
Well, not they. That is the problem. And I know that this is what people is going to say. Diablo and Blizzard, they invented the ladder. But the people that are working right now in Diablo 4 were not those people. These are different people. We know this already. Like, all the people that work in Diablo 2 is not there anymore, dude. We know this.
Didn't you invent it? And then leaderboards are part of the, I think if I saw it correctly on the roadmap that you released, it's part of the expansion, the second expansion even. You guys invented it. It was you. What happened? No Diablo, no cow level. The Mephisto thing is behind a paywall, and we fought Mephisto's dog, etc. You get the idea. And Diablo 4, in a lot of ways, it's starting to feel to me like Diablo 4 is feeling like Diablo Immortal. It feels like a mega cash grab, and that feels...
No, you are wrong, Rax. You know why? Because Diablo Immortal is better than before. Look, Diablo Immortal is always getting updates, dude. Diablo Immortal is getting updates all the time. It has PvP. Diablo Immortal has battlegrounds, dude. PvP. That is really cool. Like, I know it is pain to win bullshit, but they and I believe that is why they work harder on Diablo Immortal, because it brings in a ton of money, you know.
Very bad. I think you get the idea there. The balance and the bugs. You want to know, people always ask me about how are they going to balance this or that. Everything is crazy. It's always the same thing every season. I think Blizzard, I'm going to invent a new challenge, right? There was the Ice Bucket Challenge. There was the Tide Pod Challenge where people were eating laundry detergent. I don't understand that, but I have a new challenge. It's called the 1 million challenge. I think that the Diablo 4 team needs to do a gigantic pass, and I know we've been redoing all the different systems. I need you to do a gigantic pass on every single skill, every combination, all the mythic uniques on all the characters. And I don't want a single skill to do more than 1 million damage. And the idea behind that, like whether it's a balance...
Brother, I don't think they are going to do that, because trying every single combination, like it is, the combinations are endless. It is basically impossible to try them all, right? I know they can try all the most obvious ones, but there is no way in hell they try every single one. It is impossible. And although I do like numbers being smaller because it is cooler, it is easier to understand. At some point, numbers get so big that they lose meaning. Like, what is the difference when you are looking at the screen between a trillion and a quadrillion? At that point, those numbers are too fucking abstract. And trust me, in before, people were hitting quadrillions of damage, right? So yes, that is stupid. But you can have quadrillions of damage if the game is well balanced, if everything is working, right? I still prefer the smallest numbers, the smaller numbers, but I can tolerate the big numbers if all the other stuff is working.
Thing or a bug thing, it's got to pass both tests. And the idea behind that is if you could get it somewhere around that level, then you could attempt to balance the game. Every single game, it's like you're on a waterbed, or you're like in the lazy.
Exactly. How you balance a quadrillion versus a trillion damage at that point, it loses any meaning. It is harder to balance the game at that point. That is completely true.
River and oceans of fun. We're going up and down and up and down and up and down all the time. But Blizzard, you can't balance anything when there are skills that hit with like 3 extra zeros at the end of their attack versus other skills. It's impossible. How do you balance anything like that? So I have the
and also he wrote it here in the screen, and he's correct. The bugs are really important because a lot of builds are big or bad because of bugs.
1 million challenge where nothing hits for harder than 1 million, and then you could like balance the game. You know what I mean? I don't want to hit for trillions, billions, quadrillions, literally the infinite symbol in one of Rob's videos. And then so many things are plagued with bugs, game-breaking bugs that last for season after season after season. Number one example, Bulwark Druid. How long did Bulwark Druid, how many from release to the preseason 1 and season 2, which season did it get fixed?
Exactly, he's bringing it up. Like, there were builds that existed because of bugs. And by the way, what he said is also true. You can look it up. There is a clip where it literally said an infinite symbol. The number was so big that the game just gave you an infinite symbol. What is that, dude? What is that?
We'd have to ask Boiler. Like, stuff like that. Man, please. We need a serious pass at how much damage we're all doing. You kind of did something this season where you crucified overpower. Said overpower is overpowered. You changed the formula. It's like way worse now. A lot of people were complaining. I was sitting there, I was like, I can't believe you guys are complaining. This is step 1 of 50 toward our 1 million challenge to where we can actually balance the game. And then the final thing, the target audience. And this
overpower was a cool idea on paper, but they have never balanced overpower correctly. Overpower has been fucked up since launch. It was weak, then it is strong, then it is weak. It is like they don't know what to do with overpower.
Goes back to something that we talked about earlier. I understand that everything is about money, and I understand that the way that you make money is you sell copies of Diablo 4, and then you sell battle passes and you sell cosmetics in the shop. And I understand that one of the best ways to do that is with new player acquisition. And then with new player acquisition, the thing that gets them hooked and playing is being able to play the game, have it being very simple, and having it, everything be smooth sailing. But when you design your game so heavily under that path, you have, I think, the number one demographic that you have lost.
You lose them. It is like a Ponzi scheme. You get a new guy, but then you lose him when he doesn't get the money, and then you get another new guy, and then you lose him because you don't pay him, and you are in this cycling of players. You have to hook people in, dude. You have to hook people in. And how you do it? With replayability. Having people excited to come back for the new season.
The most, and I bet we can get some comments down below that sound off on exactly this idea, because I'm it as well. I'm part of it. Some of your biggest fans just don't see the original Diablo franchise, the essence of it in this game. I'm not seeing it. I see it as something moving more toward Diablo Immortal. And man, I miss the original Diablo. Do you guys remember that you were the kings of ARPGs?
That I don't know if that is... I don't know how to judge that, because Diablo 2 is like, the atmosphere in the game is insane. It is the game that spawned all of these other games. Diablo 2 is awesome, but Diablo 2 is not a forever game, at least for me. It is not a game that I am going to play for 10,000 hours. It has a finite life, right? But in the new era of ARPGs, you need these endgame systems that you keep playing the game. So I am okay with them moving away from the old system, right? But they are not even in the old system or the new system. They are not in any system, basically. They are not making a game and then putting a shop into the game. They are making a shop and then putting a game into the shop. That is a problem.
You guys made Diablo and Diablo 2. You guys made World of Warcraft.
That is the thing, as I said earlier, they didn't do it. The people that did those games are no longer there.
You guys made StarCraft. You guys were gaming royalty. And it's because you made these game-breaking games for gamers, not for people that kind of game but will pop in, buy the game, buy the battle pass. Not saying that diehard gamers don't buy those things, they do. But it seems like the shift has been a huge marketing push for money. And it seems like it's been at the expense of the essence of Diablo 4. And I am not saying these things
The problem is that I don't think they are mutually exclusive, dude. You can have the bullshit monetization, you can sell battle passes and skins, and still make a good fucking game. They are not mutually exclusive. You can exploit the shit out of all the chopping FOMO bullshit and still have a good game. The problem is that you are doing all of that and have a bullshit game attached to it. Give me an endgame system and a good itemization and a good skill tree, and I don't care how much shit you put into the fucking shop. They are not mutually exclusive, dude.
From hate. They are not empty insults. It's how I actually feel, and I'm making this video because I care. I would love it if we could get back on track.
Hey, I am like that too. Well, I said it at the start. I feel like a sucker, like a naive idiot, because I still not only like D4, but I have hopes that they are going to improve it. I feel like an idiot at this point. I am the only idiot that thinks D4 can improve. But yes, that is why I also react to these videos and try playing the new season, because I do want the game to be good. I like the game. What can I tell you?
People are gonna roast me so hard, saying the dude is so pathetic. He still believes in Diablo 4. He's still making this content.
Hey, same dude, same for me.
He's a 40-year-old piece of shit. Like, that's, you know, I know how the internet works. I've been around here for a long time, but I would really, really love it.
And also, it happens in my reactions too. Like, some people say, if you dislike D4 so much, why are you covering D4? Don't talk about D4 and stick to PoE. And the PoE people say, D4 sucks, don't talk about D4. Why are you playing that piece of shit? Like, for the two sides, you get attacked from the two sides. Not everybody, those are fringe comments, but it happens.
If Diablo 4 in general on a lot of these major things would go in a different direction, it needs to be a new direction, an inspired direction, but something with the essence about what the Diablo franchise and what the Blizzard of old used to be about. And I think if that happens, I think the morale and the favor of Diablo 4 will go up. So, I don't know. That's it, guys. That's the end of the video. I don't think I'm going to log into Diablo 4 Season 9. I don't really want to play. There's nothing I'm looking forward to playing. I don't want to create this big negative environment where we just roast Diablo 4 as we play it for a day and then quit, and it's my fault. I cultivate it, so I'm blaming myself, not any of the viewers. It's not their fault. It's 100% on me. So I'm going to go play other games, and I'm going to patiently wait to see. Adam said there's a whole new thing coming. They have big plans and more. Okay? I'd love to hear them. I'd love to hear what they are. I hope they address some of these things. And if you make a sincere attempt at any of these things, even if it doesn't work out for you, at least in my mind, I'll give you credit for it. Even if I play.
Same. I agree completely here with Rax. I think exactly the same way.
And I hate it, but you tried. I'll give you credit for it. Example, the big overpower nerf has a lot to do with this. I give you credit for that. It's got to start somewhere. People will cry. The 1 million challenge. That's what I would post to you. All right, guys. That's it. If you feel like it, let me know what you think about this video. But this was more of a heart-to-heart directly aimed at Blizzard, just trying to really get at the heart of some of these core things that I think are holding Diablo 4 back. Thank you.
Hey, dude, Rax, this was a nice video. I liked it a lot. And I was watching Rax's stream earlier today, and he said that Blizzard contacted him after this video. And they reached back to him, and they said that they appreciate the feedback or whatever, and they are going to work on it, basically. So, hey, let's see what happens. I have hopes. I think the game can get good. I don't think it will happen before the expansion. Like, the expansion is our hope. And if they don't do this in the expansion, at that point, my hope will go down, probably, if not to zero, close to zero. But hey, Rax, I completely understand why you are not excited for this season. I completely understand why you are trying to just not play the game, to not bring unwanted negativity towards the game. I appreciate the feedback for Blizzard, and we know they watch the video, which is cool. So, hey, let's see what happened, dude. Thank you for the video. Hey, it is awesome, dude. What do you guys think? Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I a clown? Am I a genius? Let me know everything in the comments below. I love reading comments even when they don't agree with me. Also, remember to like the video, to subscribe to the channel, all that cool stuff. Guys, thanks for being here. You guys are awesome. God bless you. And remember, don't be afraid ever, because this is just a ride.